Happy Venus Day, everybody. Welcome to these Love Energy Pick a Card Tarot readings for Friday, October 14th. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. For those of you who are new here, my name is Jane. I'm super excited to have each and every one of you here with me this week. So we have, as always, 3 piles. Now, this segment is always separated into 2 segments, okay? The first segment is specifically for those of you who are married or are in established connections. And then the second segment is for those of you who are single or finding yourself in some kind of a situationship. For each segment, we're going to be doing a pick a card reading. All right. So go ahead and take a minute, click to the timestamps in the description box and comment thread down below, and you'll be able to select your pile from there. Okay. All right. See you in just a sec. All right, this segment is for those of you who are married or find yourself in established connections. So as always, we have 3 piles. Now, I don't know the name of these stones. They were just in some big bin at a souvenir shop, so I don't really know exactly what they are. But we have like a really beautiful turquoise, we have a deep purple, and we have a bright yellow, pile 1, 2, and 3 respectively. So go ahead and take a moment. Now, not everyone always feels drawn to a pile, and that's perfectly fine. I always say you can just randomly select a pile and there will likely be a message in there for you somewhere, and timestamps again will be found in the description box and the comment thread down below. All right, see you in just a sec. All right, pile number 1, you guys selected this beautiful turquoise stone. So let's go ahead and see what comes through for you. So let's see here. I got a whole bunch of new relationship decks, so I'm very excited to use all of them all at once because I can't pace myself. So here we go. Let's see. We have passion, nostalgia, and leaving. Okay, interesting. Now, romantic relationships are absolutely being accentuated right now. Not only is it Libra season, but the Sun and Venus are in conjunction, meaning they are very close together. And the Sun and Venus both, in addition to that full moon that we had conjunct Chiron, they just came into an opposition with Chiron. So I do feel that there has been and will continue to be, as we build up to eclipse season, kind of this really strong desire to get back to the good, right? To really get back to what worked for the two of you together, to get back to the things that made you happy and the things that lit you on fire. This may be an attempt to relight the flame, if you will. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think with Mars in a square with Neptune right now, and he'll continue to be for the next few weeks. He'll go retrograde and we'll still be in a square as we enter into November. And so I think there is that desire for the ideal together. And even though life gets in the way and you have a lot of tasks and errands and jobs and children and bills and all sorts of things that need to be taken care of, I do think if you can consciously take an opportunity to play, right? To really just play and to laugh and to do fun, sexy things and, even maybe shake up your love life a little bit. I don't know how sexual a lot of people have been feeling lately. And I know the cards have definitely been kind of reflecting that. There is an asteroid that I don't talk that much about. It's called Vesta. And Vesta has a lot to do with our sexuality. Well, she has been in Aquarius for a while, and she's been conjunct Saturn for a while. And Aquarius and Saturn are not necessarily the most sexual, fertile planets and placements. So I feel like there's this need and there's this desire to kind of bring back the magic, to come out of the cold and come into the warmth that exists within this safe connection. Now, the leaving card is kind of interesting there may be some kind of a separation, and I don't mean like a forever and always separation, unless you guys are going through a very difficult time in your relationship right now. Like if you're in a really rocky connection and it hasn't been working and there's been a lot of fighting, it actually may be a really good thing to take some time apart. There may be a need for you to kind of be independent and to kind of reconvene with yourself. And if you're in a healthy connection, and that may not apply, maybe there is a little bit of distance. Maybe someone needs to travel for work, or someone needs to stay extra hours at work in order to get something done. And so maybe the leaving isn't such a bad thing. Perhaps there could be a quality of missing, right? Missing one another, or trying to, right, with the nostalgia card, that just keeps coming. It's like creating the mystery, creating the memories, creating the desire almost through absence for some of you. Now, one thing else too that I wanted to mention, Mars just by himself, not in aspect with anything, but Mars being in Gemini can also be a really playful placement. And there is a great opportunity for you to play together, whether that's sexual or not, doesn't have to be. But also Mars being a little bit more cerebral, it's not necessarily a time where we'll be driven by emotion so much. It's more what's going to drive us is the novelty of the connection. So whether it's, I don't know why I'm getting this image of, like, you know, when people play that game where they like pretend they're strangers and they go out to like a bar or to a restaurant and they pretend like they're meeting each other for the first time and they go get a hotel room. Like that's the kind of energy that I'm feeling. That kind of cerebral, mental play. Now, it doesn't have to be that scenario, obviously. Every couple will have their own thing, but I'm just kind of getting that type of energy. Going back to the energy that it was when you first met. Okay. Miracles and blessings. Everything has its gift. Well, we're going to do one more here for this deck. The only thing that is real is love. Shift your focus back to love. Yeah, especially with this leaving card. It's almost as though you're needing that reminder that the two of you like came into this agreement together, right? The two of you came in and you made vows and you made promises and you committed to one another depending on the stage of your relationship. And that whatever trials and tribulations you may be going through, there is absolute beauty and truth to it, and there's goodness to it as well. You know, a lot of people, when they look at their life and they experience unwanted things, right, unwanted scenarios, they tend to say, oh, well, you know, this is just bad, and they sort of just categorize it as being bad. But as you grow throughout your healing journey, your spiritual journey, and just your life journey in general, we tend to come to this place where we start realizing that there is beauty and there is value in pretty much every type of experience, good and bad. So nothing is really bad, right? Because if it brings value, it can change our lives. And when we start viewing things like that with greater levels of gratitude, and we begin to cherish all experiences, and especially when you're sharing this with somebody, to cherish those experiences together, it can absolutely reignite and bring the two of you maybe even closer than you've ever been. And with these looming eclipses happening in Scorpio and Taurus, there is absolutely a focus and a highlight on that energetic entanglement, or that bond that has been formed between the two of you. And hopefully there's an opportunity for you to come closer and to make that stronger, and to help you fall more deeply in love, or at minimum deeper levels of respect within the connection. We have healing with the deer and the oat. Beautiful. healing and productivity. Amazing. So that helps sometimes to remind each other and to remind you that you came together for a reason. You know, you came together not just because you loved and liked each other, right? But because you wanted to build something with each other. You wanted to truly be a support. You wanted to live life, and you wanted to make something significant in this world. And maybe many of you did. You know, maybe many of you had families, you built beautiful homes, you had wonderful life experiences, maybe you built businesses together, whatever it is. And again, coming back to that beginning point, I don't know why this nostalgia card, it's reminding me of like the first few dates. You know, those first moments when you realize like, wow, I really like this person, and you know they like you too, right? Because that's like a whole thing. Like, it's one thing to like somebody, but it's a whole different thing when you both like each other. And there is that mutual connection that you both have. And so coming back to that somehow, for some reason, it's like all eyes on this card for me. I don't quite know why. But maybe there are some things within the connection that are needing to be healed and rectified and you need to address. But I don't know that this is like a heavy communication week, right? Where you come in and you have this big conversation. I don't know that this is the week for that. I think this is more about like, let's bring our bodies and our hearts together, you know, and that can heal. Actually, Scorpio energy, as we build up to that, I know we're not there this week, but as we build up to it, it can have an extraordinarily healing effect if two people who want to be bonded come together with open hearts. And it can kind of solidify already deep and meaningful connections. So hopefully, if that's you, you know, you can take advantage of that. Air, breathing deep, entering into life, exchange of life-bringing energies, kind of breathing into each other's mouths there. It's like that, again, it's that shared like life force, the two of you. Like when you enter into a relationship and you're serious about it, you become one, right? You really do become one. And maybe, this word just popped in my head, maybe all of this really is about like getting back in sync. You know, maybe with the leaving card, there has been a little disharmony. You haven't been resonating with each other. You haven't necessarily been on the same page. And like, I don't know, I feel that there is this resynchronization going on. Honor the masculine. Now, this says honoring men. I'm just going to say the masculine, honoring masculine, embracing the masculine divine. And usually we all have our own elements of the masculine internally within us. And maybe this is you honoring that within yourself and your partner. And it is through the masculine energy, right? Through action and through doing something, right? Whatever it is, but actually doing the actual act of sex or making love, the actual act of whatever, you know, whatever it is. Maybe that is what's just really needing to happen. And you need to honor that within yourself and say, okay, well, what am I willing to do? Now, I don't know that now is the best time to try to fix something, right? Because it's not always like, okay, well, what can I do to fix this problem? It's not really, that's not really the energy I'm picking up on this week. This is about two mutually open and willing and available hearts coming together more deeply to solidify and enhance the love that the two of you share and expressing that in a masculine or probably a more physical way. Okay? All right. I am going to leave you with that. Thank you all so much. Don't forget that if you are a subscriber on my site to log in and check out the extended for each zodiac sign. Okay? Thank you all so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 2, you selected this deep purple or violet stone. So let's go ahead and take a look what comes through for pile number 2. chemistry, bliss, and healing. Great. Okay. This is I just feel like relationships right now. Well, I'm not saying that everything is easy or everything is perfect. I am saying that you are very well supported in terms of creating and healing and coming together, you know, and reigniting. This was the same for pile 1 as well. I'm looking at this chemistry and it's like, that chemistry really may be flowing. Now, we do have Mars in this square with Neptune, and we also have Venus conjunct the Sun in Libra. Now, I'm kind of getting a feeling that especially with the Mars in a square with Neptune, that people are just really looking for more, I don't know, more of maybe that fairy tale love. They're wanting the playfulness and the laughter and the great sex, and not even great sex. I would say more making love, right? You would want it to be deeper, more emotionally connected, and more satisfying in general. And even like the flirtation, like here they are like cooking, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of that foreplay, flirtation, playfulness, and like just kind of taunting one another. And then we have this beautiful bliss card, and you know, he's just like actually massaging her feet. It looks like he's kind of massaging her feet. And so I'm kind of like, well, just doing these wonderful physical things for one another. And I do think there is a strong masculine component with Mars being involved. You know, it's not that we just want to sit in our dream space all day. We want to actually physically experience it. And we want to have those amazing lovemaking sessions, and we want to have the deep conversations, and we want to have, you know, these opportunities to come back together and to begin operating as a true unit together again. If you have swayed, or if you've kind of gotten out of sync lately, if maybe the sexual energy has not been surging. You know, I mentioned this with pile 1 as well. You know, I don't often talk about like the asteroids, but one, Vesta, has been traversing Aquarius. And it's also been conjunct Saturn. And so I'm like, well, with all the mercurial energy lately, Gemini and Virgo, and with Vesta conjunct Saturn, the sexuality hasn't really been there. But now that Mars is in this square with Neptune, it's like, well, I really want to, you know, experience this fairy tale, this otherworldly, amazing connection that you read about in the books or you see in the movies, you know? And even though we know that there's not necessarily always realism with the books and movies, I think we would like to at least incorporate a little bit more, or experience a little bit more of that in our relationships. And with the healing, you know, it is an opportunity for the two of you to maybe let go of certain pride, you know, or let go of certain stubbornness or certain issues, and either forgive and forget, or to finally come into some sort of resolution, especially with Libra being so highly activated with the Sun, Venus, and also Mercury. You know, there is that ability with Mercury and Libra specifically to work things out, and not necessarily to compromise to the point where you both have to lose, but rather to find a solution that actually makes both of you really happy. And by doing so, you can heal any of the issues and concerns that you've had. So I think relationships could take a positive turn this week if you want it, and if both of you want it. If one of you is kind of 1 foot out the door, or it's kind of rocky and it's been, you know, a challenge lately, as we build up to eclipses, it is possible that there may be something that, like for example, this is all very well and good, but if one partner isn't showing up for this, or they're not doing the flirting or reciprocating, or if they're shaming or whatever, obviously that's not really going to work, and you're going to have to make a decision as to whether or not this relationship is really what you want. I think people in difficult relationships right now, you either have to be really committed to make it work, or you have to be willing to sacrifice the relationship for the sake of your own happiness or over the next few months here, and actually as Pluto makes its way into Aquarius. So we have love is all around you. There is love everywhere all the time. Simply acknowledge this as truth. Let's pull out one more. You know, I think you do want to love each other, right? And sometimes love, it like gets a little like, okay, yeah, I love you. And you can say I love you 4 or 5 times a day, but then it becomes a little bit more mechanical, or it becomes expected. And it doesn't necessarily always have that feeling behind it. You know, especially if you've been married for like 20 years, right? It's like, well, where's the heat? Where is the feeling that I get from that? You know, obviously, if you've been married 20 years, that probably started to fade a really long time ago. You know, so I do think you're wanting that. Like attracts like. If you long for more love, be more loving. And I think in healthy relationships, I don't know that this is such great advice in unhealthy connections, but in healthy relationships, if you are wanting more sexual energy, more flirtatious energy, if you are wanting more emotion with things, that is also something that you are going to have to offer. And you're going to have to be willing to open your heart as well. And it doesn't mean like, okay, well, who's going to go first? I don't necessarily know this is a good time to do a power struggle thing. It may be that you need to verbally express what you need or what you want or what you're looking for or hoping for, and be direct. I think right now being direct is actually a good idea, and saying this is what I want, and not sugarcoating it, and not like, I don't know, it's not passively. I think being more, aggressive is also not the right word. I think just direct is the only way to really say it. Just being really direct and flat and honest about it. Saying, this is what I want, this is what I need. Like, I want to cook dinner naked with you, right? Like in this card. I want to cook dinner naked with you. Or I want you to give me this great massage, or I want to give you a great massage. And to put that effort into it. And, you know, hopefully, again, in healthy relationships, your partner will match. So there is this right, like attracts like. I love that for Libra season, because that is similar to the scales of Libra balancing out. And I don't know, there could be really incredible steps taken for people in relationships right now. We have overcoming obstacles. All right, so healing and overcoming obstacles. So it does tell me that things might not have been perfect lately. Are you willing to, I don't know, I don't want to say an adaptability. Yeah, that's a great word. That's probably the best word. I wouldn't have thought of that myself. Are you willing to adapt? Because the stars have pushed us into new places, emotionally, mentally, and whatnot. So with the stars and the astrology and just the world at large and just the general collective consciousness, we're all kind of moving into these new places. And coming back together and regrouping and getting to know one another again is super, super important. I think those in healthy connections are willing to overcome the obstacles that have been presented lately. You know, you're willing to overcome the obstructions and to find a way, to find a path that makes you both feel okay with moving forward together. I like the fox because there's also a quality of agility, you know, so you can turn on a dime if you need to. I think this is the case for both of you. Stubbornness does not have a place right now. People who are being really stubborn are going to lose out on the benefits of what could come from a beautiful connection, right? All right, let's go ahead and take cards here. Freedom, independence, and self-determination. Kind of the antithesis of what I'm talking about, but let's see what else comes out. And then we have falling in love. maybe one of the things that needed to happen within your relationship was you each needed to go your own way a little bit. Maybe you each needed to have your own life experiences, or you needed to be a little bit separate and detached. But I think that period is starting to come to an end. And maybe it has been a couple months, maybe it's been all year. It has been a very strange year. We started off with that. I always talk about it because for me it was so difficult, but it probably wasn't difficult for everybody. But that Venus retrograde in Capricorn conjunct Pluto, I think relationships, they really went through it. It was not easy. So maybe it has taken all this time, all year, to really come to this point where you're willing to kind of entangle yourselves with one another again, right? Because the freedom, independence, self-determination, maybe you did go through a period of significant autonomy, which would make sense with Jupiter being in Aries, by the way. That would not surprise me at all, right? That doesn't surprise me. We all needed to kind of go through this period of re-identification, right? To re-identify and to really get to know ourselves. Well, now you can come together and get to know each other. And you can fall back in love again. And you can rekindle to a degree, or not even rekindle the old, but maybe you're going to kindle a brand new type of fire within this relationship that could ultimately keep you going for years and years and years. Hopefully. Okay? All right, pile number 2. Thank you so much. I love you. Have a great week. And again, don't forget that if you are a subscriber on the site, please log in and check out the extended I do for each zodiac sign. All right, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 3. You guys selected this yellow stone. So let's see what comes through. Surrendering, temptation, and fidelity. All right, so I don't know what you've been going through with your partner. Hopefully nothing bad, but I do think this is a time when people really are, it's almost as though you're renewing your promises to one another. You're having to make extraordinarily conscious decisions to stay together and to move forward and to build a life and to not let the world sort of corrupt the connection. And maybe there have been temptations, right? Maybe you have felt like you were out of control in this particular aspect of your life. Maybe you didn't know how to move forward and you were just sort of forced to have faith and trust in this process. And maybe it is really hard because when you are in a relationship, you are officially a co-creator with someone. And that is a lot harder than doing it on your own because you have to account for someone else and their waves and their astrological transits and their shifts that they go through that are different and not necessarily perfectly synchronized with yours, right? And so coming into an understanding of their journey and their path, and hopefully they have also been able to, respect your journey and your path, and understanding how you move together, but at different rates, at different times. And, I think this is an opportunity to resynchronize for some of you. So you come back into this, place together and you say, okay, are we really going to do this? I know that there's a big difference right now between people who are in healthy relationships moving forward and those who are in unhealthy or really rocky relationships moving forward. Okay, there's a big difference because as we move into eclipse season, we're starting to feel that now. Okay, the sun is 12 degrees away from the eclipse degree at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So we are officially starting to build up to it this week. All right. And on the 25th is when the actual eclipse is going to happen. But Scorpio and being Libra season, relationships are just being highlighted. And if you're healthy, this is a great time for you to, I keep hearing like renewing the vows is what I'm hearing. Renewing the vows, even if you're not married. But if you're in a challenged connection, this particular astrological environment can absolutely determine whether or not this is going to work. And you're going to have all the information come late November as to whether or not you're going to be able to really stick through this or not. All right. Now, if you choose to be together and you choose each other, there may still be things that you're going to need to work on. Things like trust, things like unity, having a vision together. Okay. All those kinds of things. And I think those of you who are watching it, you're here because you're willing to do that. Hopefully your partner is too. You are willing and you're ready. And I think with Mars in this square with Neptune, there is this strong desire toward the ideal. And Neptune is certainly offering a magical mindset where it's like, yeah, I do believe in love. And I do believe that love can overcome things, and when two people love each other, they can accomplish great things together, and all these kinds of things. And I don't see anything wrong with that, just so long as it's not a delusion, that you're not kidding yourself. Especially if you're dealing with a person with strong narcissistic tendencies, or someone who has a lot of trauma that they haven't dealt with and that they're projecting into the relationship right now, right? That kind of thing. So now we have practice compassion, see things from a fresh perspective. Well, I kind of already mentioned that, right? Libra season, specifically with Mercury in Libra now, we do have a lot of support when it comes to kind of taking another person's perspective into account, their life experience, what they're going through, but not at the loss of self, though. Like, you don't have to make a bunch of excuses for somebody, right? That's not good. We don't want you to say, oh, well, they went through this and they went through that, so I'm going to excuse this behavior, right? That's just nonsensical and useless self-sacrifice that really only hurts you, and it doesn't really help the relationship. So we're still wanting to remain autonomous and strong, with strong boundaries and strong and direct communication. But we are able to see things from another's perspective without a lot of judgment. It's not about making excuses, and it's not about casting judgment. It's just more about having all the information so you can decide how to move forward. Forgiveness. So we have compassion and forgiveness. So, and I hate to do these kinds of readings, but did some of you who are watching this experience infidelity, right? Did someone cheat? If that was you, I'm not saying it's everybody, but if that was you, you may have to contend with the effects of that this week and in the weeks to come. And your choice is, do you forgive? And if you do forgive, do you offer a second chance? That's the real question. Do you forgive, and do you offer a second chance? And do you truly believe? Can you truly get over it if you do decide to give a second chance? If you believe that someone has truly reformed, whether it was you or them, whoever did it, if the person that did it truly reformed, do you really see that, and are you willing to not hold it against them? Right? And maybe some of you are having to do something really, really hard for the sake of your soul right now, for the sake of your mental health, for the sake of your sanctity, because maybe holding on to this, and this may have happened maybe a long time ago too, maybe it's not recent, but if it's resurfacing, and there's been a grudge of any kind, if that is in fact the case, Now would be the time to say, can I let this go? And if not, then this relationship may not be able to make it through. And now, even if you did, the question is would you be happy? Okay. Bashfulness. Oh my gosh, how cute is that little possum? And romance. Okay, maybe there is a little bit of shyness. You know, maybe you are feeling a little like you need to hold back, or you're feeling a little bit embarrassed for something that you need. Maybe that's even a sexual desire. Maybe you are wanting to try something new sexually, or you're wanting to try something within the connection or whatever it is, but you're even afraid to bring that, maybe not afraid is not, but you're bashful, right? There's kind of this shyness, or a little bit of, it's like mixture of shyness and embarrassment, kind of, you know, you might be a little bit afraid to like really bring it up. But I do think Mercury is kind of like it's a safe Mercury placement, in my opinion. Because with the scales of Libra, people are willing to take a look at the other side, even if it is strange or weird or unconventional or whatever, you know. So people are willing to hear, and people are willing to listen. Romance, yeah, romance, especially with Mars in a square with Neptune, no doubt, of course. Everyone is wanting romance right now. Everyone is wanting that feeling of being together and being accepted and being loved, and that feeling of having someone really in your corner, you know, like you've got someone to fight for you and with you. And to, you know, if that's what you need, don't be bashful. If that's what you're asking for, don't be afraid of what you feel that you need. And then we have the unseen. Too much is hidden from you. Okay. There's something weird going on with this set of cards, and I don't really like it all that much. Are you experiencing, like, I hate doing these kinds of readings because I think it perpetuates desperation and whatnot, but it doesn't mean that people aren't going through real life stuff either. The unseen. Too much is hidden from you. The card says what it says. Are there things that you're not seeing, or that you're even willfully choosing not to see? Okay, I'm going to leave that open-ended. I don't want to interpret that too much. I'm just going to let that sit with each and every one of you, because it may resonate a lot more with some, rather than some may be like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. And then we have Atlantis. Rapid development, excellent, and success. See, the reason why I like that card, not just because it's positive, but because it indicates to me that there is a way to succeed. So even if you are going through something weird, or a period of distrust, or a period of non-belief, or whatever it is, there is a way out, and there is something that you can build together from this experience. You know, you don't have to think that this is the end all be all. There is some place to go from here. All right, you can work your way through it if you want, and if not, you can make it on your own. You know, either way, with the person, without the person, it doesn't matter. There's like a paradise, and I like Atlantis and paradise, kind of like a similar, well, I mean, not really, but you get the idea. There is a paradise for you on the other end of this. So you don't have to focus so much on what's right in front of you and think that this is it, because it's not. All right, so you just have to find a way to make your way through. Compassion and forgiveness seems to be the way to do it. Not everyone may be ready to do that, or ready to offer that, which of course is completely understandable if there was some, I mean, obviously if you have to offer forgiveness, there's usually a reason why, right? So, but either way, you're going to grow exponentially on the other side of this. Okay. All right, pile number 3. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you all so much. If you are a subscriber, please log in and check out the extended that I do each week for every zodiac sign so you can get a little bit more information. All right? Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello there. So this segment is for the singles out there. So as always, we have 3 piles. Now, I found these stones at like a bin at some souvenir shop. So I don't know exactly what they all are. So I don't want to pretend to guess. So we kind of have I'm just going to use very generic colors. So we have kind of like a bluish gray, kind of like an ocean gray. We have a kind of an aqua color and a reddish. So it kind of looks like a red jasper. Okay. So go ahead and feel your way through. Now, as always, not everyone feels, intuitively drawn, and that's perfectly fine. I always say you can just randomly pick a pile and there will likely be a useful message in there for you somewhere. Timestamps again in the description box in the comment thread down below. And I will see you in just a sec. All right, pile number 1, you selected this sort of ocean gray stone. So let's go ahead and take a look. What comes through for my singles pile number 1? Awareness. Feelings. Okay, we're going to do one more. And conquest. All right. Now, the energy around relationships for singles has been kind of interesting. Like, there's definitely a readiness, and a lot of singles are like, well, if it comes in, I'll take it. But I'm not going to go and exert all this effort and go through this whole exhaustive dating process over and over and over, dating apps, going out, social, the bar, whatever. Like, I'm not doing that, right? And with this awareness, I kind of feel like this is an acceptance of your divinity here, because I think you've realized that with this feelings card, that feelings just simply cannot be manufactured, right? They are either there or they are not there. And while a relationship or moving on toward a marriage, whatever your goal is for a connection, there's just kind of, you can always come together with someone with whom you're compatible and let the love grow, but it's also nice to have the feelings too, right? And I don't think that you're in this position where you're only wanting this relationship to be like a business transaction where it's like, okay, we work compatible, we work together, we should be together, let's do something. But you also don't want to be in this overly romantic, up and down roller coaster kind of deal. You kind of want both. And so right now, I think you're really allowing your feelings, but not like trite feelings and not your like schoolgirl or schoolboy 5-year-old feelings guiding you. No, it's a much more mature, intuitive feeling right now. And you're absolutely looking for something powerful. And I actually like the word conquest here to a degree. Sometimes it can feel like, oh, you're just kind of using someone. Obviously, that's not really what you're wanting. You don't want to be used, nor do you want to use somebody. But I think there is this element of victory. Like you want to conquer maybe like singledom. You want to be the type of person, or you want to be a person that does find this love, right? That does find this connection, that believes enough and is open enough and is receptive enough to actually get it, And so maybe this is even a test of your own manifestation skills and your own power and your own magic, but you don't want to do any manipulative magic where you say, okay, I'm going to focus in on that person over there and I'm going to do my little magic or my manifestations and I'm going to get them to love me, right? We're not trying to do that. No one here is trying to do that. We're trying to do it real and divine and beautiful and organic and natural. All right? Obviously. I feel like some of you really could take on like a lover. I don't even know. Is that kind of like an old-fashioned thing? I feel like some of you really could be taking on a lover. But that it could initially start as that, but then it could also morph into something more real. I'm getting a really strong independent energy. Be supportive. Make a genuine effort to show you care. Hold on, let me pull out one more card. Simple acts of kindness. Oh, those kind of go hand in hand. To be supportive and simple acts of kindness. It says kindness energizes you and brings happiness to those around you. Maybe you are coming to a place in your life where you're much more sensitive of your everyday contributions to the world. And when I say contributions, I don't mean things like your career contributions or any huge things. I think these are really small things, like you're walking behind someone and you notice they drop something, so you pick it up for them instead of just letting them deal with it, or maybe you see a little animal struggling to get across the street, so you stop traffic and help it along, or whatever the case may be. It's these very small, seemingly insignificant acts of kindness. How weird that this could be something that actually helps your love life. Right? Because when you are caring about the needs of others, and when you are awareness being the very first card, and when you are supportive of others and genuinely trying to show that you care and that other people's needs matter, or other creatures, there's a lot of animals in this card, so it's like showing that you care about them. Seems like, well, this is you communicating to the universe that, yeah, I'm really ready to care about somebody. Maybe you had to go through a period where you cared about yourself and that was all you could do. You were healing, you were evolving, you were changing paths, you were going through a lot, maybe not even just like for a little while. Maybe it has been years for some of you. And you needed to go through an extensive self-focused period. But by showing and exerting effort toward others, even in the most minuscule way, this is absolutely a fantastic way to show the universe that you are ready and receptive and open to care about somebody. Trust in the invisible. Oh my goodness. The invisible person that doesn't exist in your life yet. The invisible lover, the invisible boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, the invisible, because it's not in your life now. Otherwise you wouldn't be looking at the singles reading. We also have inspiration. You wouldn't be looking at the singles reading if you had it, right? So trust in the invisible. Trust that it's there. Like maybe when you walk outside, I live, I have like a forest all around me. So like when I walk outside, I can definitely hear a lot of things, right? Like I can hear the frogs and the owls. They literally say who, like who at night. You're going to hear the owls, and you can even hear the deer walking around in the forest. But I can't see them. Never once have I seen them, but I can hear them. And I feel like that's kind of where you're at. It's like you can sense that this is around you. You can sense you're attracting it. You can sense that it's going to come into your life at some point. I don't even want to say when. And I don't even think you care if it happens now or not. I think you're just ready. You're just ready and receptive. And I like the inspiration card. And whenever we follow our inspiration, it puts us into greater states of alignment. Now, this may or may not have anything to do with your romantic life. Probably not, actually. It probably doesn't have anything to do with your romantic life. It probably has to do with just your own interests, your hobbies, your job, the people in your life, your family, your friends, your financial situation, all of it. Like when you get inspired to grow something or to enhance or to make it better, you are embracing that frequency of abundance and gratitude and love. And when you couple that with simple acts of kindness and being supportive, the universe is more likely to put you in a supportive role. And being in a supportive role is what being in a relationship is all about, Well, not all about, but you get the idea. It's an important aspect of it, is being supportive. And being supported as well, and allowing others to support you too. It's reciprocity. It needs to go both ways. So we have, I was looking through this deck when I got it. It's like, this is a weird one. What am I going to do if it actually comes out in a reading? And then here it is. It's conchomancy, right? Seashell divination and wisdom from shells. I don't even know what to do with that. I'm going to pull out another one. Like, I just need to take this out of the deck altogether. I mean, some of you may have a connection with seashells. I mean, maybe that's for a couple specific people out there. I don't know. Maybe there's something, and I was even talking about stepping out in the darkness and hearing things, and I know that, they always say if you put your ear up to the shell, you can kind of hear things. So I don't know, maybe there is some information that you can receive from seashells if that is your thing. Probably not for most of you, though. What else for pile 1? Kind of like this top one. Okay. Water flight. Heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away, weightlessness. Well, that's good. Burdens are cast away. Being single, if you're not like, it varies, right? Everyone is going to have a different financial situation. Everyone's going to have a different social situation, with friends and all that, different living situations. But there is a much bigger burden when you're single. Right? You have to take care of more. You have to think about more. And everything relies on you. And maybe you are at that point where you are ready and willing to share the burdens of life, like bills and mortgages and children and all that. And I say burdens loosely. I'm not trying to make those things sound bad, because obviously children are not like bad. But maybe you are at this position where you're ready to have a real partner and to help you and help relieve things and to make them easier. It does seem that is something that will happen once you find a relationship. Maybe that's not what you're looking for, but maybe that's what will happen when you find this connection. I do think you will find it. I do think it will come. I do think that it's certainly in the works for you. And I think you know that. I don't think you're pessimistic about this particular area of your life by any means. You're not pessimistic and you're not feeling defeated, conquest. No, you're not feeling defeated at all. Like you know this is going to work out for you. And so I don't even think you're spending a second guessing whether it will or not. It's just a matter of when, and you're willing for it to be whenever it needs to be. So you're in a good spot. You're definitely in a good spot. All right? Thank you so much, pile 1. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 2. You guys selected this like aqua seafoam colored stone. All right, so let's go ahead here and take a look. What comes through for pile number 2? Discovery. Desire. And choice. Okay. Seems like you are looking for something very specific. The words that came into my mind was like secret treasure. Like those stories of people trying to find the shipwrecks, trying to uncover this like ungodly amount of gold, right? You're looking for this incredible treasure. And you're trying to discover this obviously within not only yourself, but within another person as well. I really think you're in this position of not wanting to scrimp or settle or sacrifice certain things. You're not looking for perfection in someone. I just want to be very clear about that. I don't see that you are holding out for a perfect person, but you are holding out for someone that you can build a real life with, a long life, and that gives you the feelings. And I also know that you're wanting something healthy. And also, especially if you have had a few go-arounds of unhealthy, toxic situations, a few iterations of that, you've probably gone through and done the trauma with the parents, therapy, thinking about that, healing a lot of that stuff. You have acknowledged and identified a lot of that stuff. And maybe you've been in this position where you're like, okay, well, I'm not attracted really to the good people. I'm attracted to the toxic people. So how do I rectify that? Is there a good person that I can actually be attracted to? Because maybe you were even afraid of your own attraction for a while because you're like, I don't even trust my butterflies. I don't trust that. I don't trust that feeling anymore because it's always led me down this same path. So maybe you needed this period, and maybe you have taken a period of time where you were just like, okay, I don't trust my chemistry right now, so I need to reset and reboot. But you're wanting to kind of bridge that gap between wanting someone who is good and healthy and emotionally intelligent and communicative and honest, right? Because I feel that that's what you would bring to the table. You would want that, but also the chemistry that you would have with a toxic person. You want it all, right? The ones that don't have bank accounts and drive motor, on Sex and the City, right? The good on paper guy is the one you leave for the guy that drives a motorcycle and doesn't have a checking account, right? We want the good on paper and the sexual chemistry with the toxic one, okay? So you want the choice. We have choice here. And that's what you're choosing. You're choosing the ideal. You want that desire. And I do think with Mars being in a square with Neptune this week, there is an exceptional amount of desire that has been really creeping up. And maybe you're not feeling I hate using this word, but horny. Okay, I hate that word, but maybe you're not feeling that. Maybe you are. But the physical desire is a lot different than the desire. And I think you're more leaning in toward the desire. Your spiritual and emotional bodies are wanting to connect with another's spiritual and emotional body. A physical is just the expression of those things, right? Rather than coming together physically and not having the spiritual and emotional connection. Okay, let's pull out a couple more here. You're really looking for the magic. You want the magic. Of course you do. And I think you believe that it exists. That's what's even better. You believe that it exists. You believe it's possible. You believe the universe can offer this for you. And you may not be able to figure out how to go find it see, true love. This love is once in a lifetime. This is what I mean. A love that is unlike any other. The kind of love where it's so special that you genuinely wish everyone could find it, right? Because it's that good. And there's that much trust and faith in one another and respect with one another. And it makes you even feel silly for ever having gone through those previous experiences. Oh my gosh, I even said the word treasure. Treasure your loved ones. Stop it. I can't. I love these cards. I just got these cards. I got four or five new decks. 4 new decks for these specific readings. And they're just fitting so well. So treasure your loved ones. It is important to love others deeply. Of course, you want to feel that you have found the treasure, but also you will treasure them and they will treasure you, right? To treasure means to truly, like, I don't know. I never really thought about that word before. Like when we use it to describe that we treasure someone, there's something so much more special when we say that we treasure someone, right? There's something, it's like the way that you would treat an extraordinarily rare and gigantic diamond, right? Like you would do everything in your power to keep it safe and to keep it protected and to never lose it. And, you would work as hard as you needed to in any capacity in order to keep it in your life. Mischief. Ooh, that's kind of a fun card. Mischiefs, shenanigans, kind of getting into a little trouble as you are in this process of discovery. And then we have communication. Okay, these are kind of normal cards here. So I feel like with the communication, first of all, communication is, I personally am liking Mercury through Libra as a Mercury ruled sign. It's not technically in rulership or detriment or anything. It's just kind of neutral here. But I do like it because it's giving us a really full perspective of things so that we can make up our minds about things and we can have actual communication and conversations with people without getting, overly judgmental or defensive or, offensive or whatever the case may be. We can just talk. And while you may not have this person to talk to, I'm actually seeing this communication as like, well, why don't you communicate to the universe what you're actually really looking for? And maybe you have been, quote unquote, manifesting this person. But have you ever actually come out and really asked for it? Have you said the words? Have you written it down in your journal? Have you allowed yourself to believe that this person exists, that this kind of connection truly exists? Hopefully the answer is yes, and that that's not even really a thing, but hopefully the answer is yes. Last cards. Okay, so I saw this one. We have transparency, honest, authentic, genuine, and present. Beautiful. The magic of the Coelin Druith. I don't know what that means, but it says caution, secrecy, and wary. Hold on, let me think about that one for a second. Because I'm kind of looking at this dude in the shadows here. And that card says choice on it. And I feel like there's, I don't mind the words caution, secrecy, wary. Because to me, it's like when you're experiencing people, going out, communicating, socializing, doing what you do, living your life, there's always this like alert on. You're always paying attention. You're being vigilant. You're being intelligent about things, meaning you're actually paying attention to your body here, what your body is communicating. And even though maybe you haven't really trusted that, I think you've gotten to a point where you can trust at least the things that are not good, right? The things that are not bringing you happiness or the things that are red flags, right? I think we're at a point now where we trust the red flags and we're starting to pay attention and we're starting to not ignore them and we're starting to do something about them a lot sooner than we used to. I think we all, especially when Chiron was going through Pisces, before, I think he came in 2018, if I remember correctly, I think 2018. So when he came in Pisces, he came into Aries in 2018. So before that, like a decade before that, I think we were all just kind of letting things go by. We allowed things to happen. Not anymore, right? That's what the Chiron in Aries is helping us to heal the wound with our boundaries and not allowing people to cross that boundary of self, right? So we're not like we're establishing a strong sense of self, which will be good for being in a relationship. But your caution, your wary, and your secrecy, it's more like what's going on inside of you as you determine whether or not someone has the red flags that you are explicitly trying to avoid. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, just something scared me, my cat. Okay. So anyway, with that jump at the very end, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you all so much. You guys know I love you. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 3. You guys selected what I'm suspecting is a red jasper. So let's go ahead here, pull out the first 3 cards. What does pile 3 need to know today? We have freedom, jealousy, empathy. Okay, interesting. You know, pile 3 with the married and relationship reading was also kind of interesting. So I think you're a little different than the first 2 piles because you seem to be at a different stage. I think you're at this place where you are breaking free from something from the past still. And maybe that's been ongoing, and maybe the last relationship you had was a long time ago for some of you, you know, so maybe it hasn't been recent. But I think maybe this has a lot to do with the upcoming eclipses as well. But I think this is a time when you are actually like truly setting yourself free from this connection. And you're starting to say, you know, I am really ready to not hold this as a burden anymore, because I do feel that it has been a burden, because often jealousy can be very burdensome. And jealousy may have been an emotion that you have struggled with in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it was because you had a partner that was not trustworthy in the past, you know, so you've always kind of had your guard up. And maybe you're even looking at other couples right now and being like, wow, I really, really wish I had that. You know, I wish I had that happiness. I wish I had that togetherness, that belonging. I don't know that this jealousy is bad and toxic. I think this is it's more aspirational, right? Jealousy is an interesting emotion to behold because it tells us what we want. And we can do one of 2 things with it. If we say, okay, well, clearly this is something that I want because I'm harboring a jealousy here, we can either go toxic and get mad for not having it and harbor resentment and regret, or we can get inspired by that and say, okay, well, what do I need to do to invite this into my life? And freedom is probably the very first step to this, because if there has been, and she's even got like a rope or a cord here, so it's like anyone that you've had an entanglement with or an enmeshment, you get to finally cut the cord. And here she is with a pair of scissors. She's got a picture. She's ready to cut up the picture, or she's ready to cut that cord. And again, this may be recent for some of you, but it also may be a really, really old thing. And maybe you even have an opportunity here in the upcoming weeks or throughout the course of eclipse season. I know this is going to sound really weird, but I'm getting this image of someone coming back into your life and you being able to reject them or decline their phone call, or you tell them, no, I don't want to go out to dinner, or no, I don't want to have a phone call, or no, like you get to say no, right? And that's kind of you cutting the cord. It's you taking your power back and you coming into this realization that like, I really am done. You know, I really have uncomplicated myself, right? I've uncomplicated my love life by truly finding this freedom here. And with empathy, I don't see anything wrong with that. What I'm sensing is just how sensitive you are. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not a good thing. You know, sensitivity can be fantastic because you can read energy, you can read rooms, but it can be bad because you can absolutely absorb and you can overgive. And you can often, with empathy, a lot of empaths and healers, they kind of identify as both. Healing can be a great thing, but it can also be very destructive if you don't really understand how to utilize that talent. And so empathy is probably something that you have learned and are continuing to learn about through interpersonal relationships. And empathy in a relationship can make it easy for, like, I'll just give you a personal example. Like, I remember I dated someone once. He was a Pisces. He had like 4 planets in Pisces. He was probably the most empathic person I've ever met in my entire life. Like, there was not a single facial muscle tick that I could do that he couldn't read the crap out of me. And it was really alarming, but it was also really refreshing because it was like, okay, I don't have to lie, because even if I tried to lie, I wouldn't get away with it anyway. So it was just like forced honesty. Right. And so sometimes empathy can go that far, and it's just like, okay, well, you just have to be honest because you're so empathic, you're going to know otherwise. So also an element of transparency for me is coming through with that empathy card. All right, let's see here. Love makes the difference. Love helps heal past hurts and provides a sense of security and self-worth. You know, it of course, yes, 100%. And maybe you are at a place in your own healing journey where you are ready to incorporate another person so that that healing journey can continue. I am a firm believer that being in relationships is like the only thing, not the only thing, but it's one of the best things to help heal relationship wounds. Being single is great because you get to heal wounds regarding yourself. But if you ever really want to strengthen your relationship abilities, you have to be in relationships. And so I think you are in that place where you say, I'm wanting this safety, this security, I'm wanting this love. Let's see what else comes out. Love who you are. Oh, beautiful. That's really similar to what I just said, right? Being single, you get to heal yourself. So you get to come through this phase of understanding, right? He says you are divine, delightful, and deserving of the wonderful things life has to offer. So you've already been going through this. This is in the process of translating into a relationship. Because when you love who you are and you're loving life, you are much more inviting here. And the jealousy, I don't think is such a negative vibration for you as it could be. It could be, but I don't think it is. I think it's more inspirational, like I say, because you're looking at it and you're saying, I want it. I want what they have. I don't want to be alone. I want to fall asleep next to someone, and I want to have great, meaningful sex, and I want to build a wonderful home with somebody, and I want someone to laugh with. I want a best friend and all that great stuff, right? So you're kind of in that process of aligning with that vibration, which is great. Hope, excellent. Hope that it can be. Hope that you can have. Hope that it exists. I think hope is positive. I don't always feel that. Sometimes hope can be like, I always say hope is like a fuel, and it can either fuel a fear or it can fuel faith. And right now I think it's fueling your faith. Faith that a person exists. that you can be not only passionate with, but also compatible with and have a strong foundation with. And then we have wisdom, which you have acquired a great deal of wisdom, especially wisdom of self. Love who you are, right? You've acquired a great deal of wisdom that will be beneficial, absolutely 100% in your relationship. I feel like you're just like really ready. You're even ready for the new sets of challenges, because we know that no matter how great a relationship is, it's always going to have its own set of challenges, but you're willing to do that with somebody, and you've opened the door for it. It's just a matter of when at this point. Okay, let's pull out the last two cards. Time and Tide, Oceanic Spells and Rituals. Okay, so this deck it's a mermaid deck, so it has some kind of its own little things. But I like the message of time, and I like the message of tide, right? Because we know that the tide has to come in, and it ebbs and flows, and it comes in and goes out. And then time is just a matter of time before this comes in. And this is what I just said. Like, it's a matter of when. It's a matter of when. And I do think that tide is turning. And I think these eclipses, as they make their way out of Taurus and Scorpio and on into Libra and Aries, there is a significant possibility that this could be an accentuated aspect of your life. So we have wave of power, wave and tide, wave of power, a surge of power, an upswing in energy, an exhilarating movement. Yeah, I don't see you being debilitated specifically by any quote unquote jealousy. I don't see you being debilitated by anything that went wrong. In fact, actually, this freedom energy feels like that exhilaration for sure. It's like, wow, I am no longer under the spell of that person, I now see them for who they really are. I'm not projecting a fantasy onto them. I am operating in reality, and what the reality that they present is really not good enough. It's really not what I want. It's not how I want to experience love, or attachment, rather, is probably more likely. So you are gaining internal power within yourself, which is also great. Wisdom and power, loving who you are, fueled by hope and belief that more and additional healing can occur within a relationship. You're definitely going into it for the right reasons. You're going into it not because you're desperate, but because this is something that you genuinely want, and that's it. Okay? All right, pile number 3. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. I love and adore you. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.